As Israel is engaged in a fierce internal struggle about the judicial reform that the government is trying to promote, Palestinian terror continues to rage. The death of a border policeman yesterday and the ramming attack in Ramot last Friday have brought the toll of Israelis killed in the past 2 weeks to 11. How should Israel respond? And is the security situation related to the political debate? To discuss this issue, the Jerusalem Press Club speaks with Major General Reserve Yaakov Amidror, former National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister, head of Israel's National Defense College, head of the Research Department in the IDF's Military Intelligence Directorate, and Military Secretary for the Defense Minister. Today, he is a Research Senior Fellow at the Jerusalem Institute for Strategic Studies. I am Elie Klutstein, Press Coordinator at JPC. General Amidror, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
We have seen many terror incidents in the past few weeks, many of which were conducted by individual lone wolves. The head of the CIA who visited Israel said this reminds him of the Second Intifada. You've been there, you saw it all. Is this indeed true?
No, it's not at all. In the Intifada, what the character of the issues was that it was in big numbers. Many Palestinians took part in the events. It was more about organizations which prepared the suicide bombers, prepared the kind of an infrastructure on which the whole system was built. There was a group of those who prepared the explosions, those who trained the guys who were supposed to detonate it later on, logistic effort to move them into Israel, and so on and so forth. Here, it's a totally different phenomenon. It's really lonely wolves, someone at the age of 15 or 17 or 30, which decide in the morning that today he will kill Jews. By the way, most of them are from Jerusalem. And as you know, the Palestinians who are living in Jerusalem have Israeli identification cards. They have Israeli numbers on the cars, and so on and so forth. So it's very easy to move. It's not like the system in the West Bank, in which when they want to enter into the Israeli side of the line, they have to go through checkpoints. Here, it's a free movement, and none of them up till now was connected to any of the Palestinians or any other organization. And the mass of the Palestinians is not taking part in any of these events. Of course, they are cheering, they like the results, they praise the heroes, and so on and so forth. But no one stopped walking in Israeli areas, and either it is in the West Bank or inside Israel, and we don't see the population taking part in these events. With all due respect to the CIA theory, it is far away from being another intifada.
Okay, you spoke about several phenomena that we want to speak about and to try to explain. So the first one is, can we explain the rise of participation of kids or young adults in these attacks?
Look, we are facing a society in which, unlike in the West, the responsibility of the system, of the family, of the parents to the kids is different than what we know in the West. The investment in education, in raising the young people into the level in which they can take responsibility for themselves and so on and so forth, is totally different. And no question that the fact that within this culture, those who killed Jews and became martyrs are part of the heroes of the society is one of the reasons that it is now very natural to many of them taking part in this slaughter of civilians. By the way, I think that 70% of those which had been killed in the Israeli side are civilians, children, women, and so on and so forth. So it is not a war against the occupiers, the soldiers, or the police. It is about killing Jews because they are Jews, that's all.
Okay, and you did speak about the fact that many of the terrorists are coming from East Jerusalem. What do you think about the initiative of Minister Ben-Gvir, who's responsible for interior security, to launch an operation in Jerusalem?
I think that it is premature. We don't have the information which is needed for an operation. By the way, if we had information about suspected candidate for attacking Jews, within a few hours they would have been arrested by the security organization. So if it is for researching weapons which might be found in Jerusalem, or probably will be found, there is a logic. But remember that all the last operation had been done by using cars to kill people who stand in the bus station, or knife, which you can find in every kitchen in Jerusalem, either it is in the west or in the east. So I'm not sure that there is any focusing mission that can be achieved by such an operation now.
Okay. As regards to Palestinian terror from the West Bank, from the greater West Bank, we've seen several incidents of terror cells which were more organized. They had more links to Islamic Jihad or Hamas. And it seems that as if the Palestinian Authority is losing control of the escalating situation, and maybe it is even encouraging the terror. How should Israel react to that phenomenon?
There are two areas. One is both of them in the north of the West Bank, around a city called Jenin, and there it is clear that the Palestinian Authority lost control, and it forced Israeli decision makers, commanders on the ground, to be more active in this area. And yes, some of the operations which had been conducted by the IDF are around these places, but in the West Bank, unlike the Jerusalem, it is easier to the intelligence of the security forces, the equivalent of the FBI in Israel, which is called Shabbat, to collect information because it is an occupied area. The commander is the sovereign on the place, and in these areas, the Israeli law system is more open to the needs of the intelligence to collect the information with all means, from cameras to using force and so on and so forth. It is not as easy in Jerusalem because it is an Israeli part of Israel, and the legal system in Israel is different than the occupied territories. But slowly, we will have to adapt some of the technological capabilities that we have in the West Bank into Jerusalem. But in this case, I'm very skeptic about the ability to change the situation dramatically because, as I said, it is not about organizations. It is about lonely wolves, and the collection of intelligence in this case is almost impossible.
So strengthening the Palestinian Authority is not an option that could lead to less violence?
No.
Okay.
So it cannot be done at the same way that it is done in the West Bank, which is occupied territories by law. We cannot do the same in Jerusalem. We will never do.
Okay, let's move on to the Gaza Strip.
It was never done, and probably will it will not be happening in the future. It's part of Israel, and there are more restrictions on the gathering of intelligence.
Okay, but can we expect to see maybe a larger operation in Nablus or in Jenin in the recent future due to terror activity there?
If will be needed. Here, the only restrictions that they have, the commander, I'm speaking about the commanders on the ground, is what information they have. If they have any information for a big operation, they will do a big operation. If they will have information about picking someone in one corner of a building somewhere in Jenin, they will go to this corner. They will not do something bigger than that if it's not needed. And as I said, the IDF is very active in the West Bank almost every night to succeed to eliminate the ability of the groups on the ground to be stronger, to acquire capabilities, to buy weapons, and so on and so forth. So in the West Bank, it is almost every night that the IDF is very active, arresting people. It is not the same in Jerusalem. Here we have to be more cautious.
Okay, let's move on to the Gaza Strip. After a relative quiet year from Gaza, we have seen since the formation of the new government several incidents of rockets fired toward Israel from the Strip. Can we attribute this to the internal situation in Israel?
No, I don't think that there is any connection between the internal situation in Israel. The IDF is out of the internal equation, free to act, and the decision-making system is working very well in spite of the demonstrations in Jerusalem, which are very narrow connected to the legal system change that the government is initiating. I don't think it's connected. It is more kind of to show it's not only Jerusalem. We are here as well, and maybe some friction inside Gaza relating the question how to react to the new government in Israel, again, which is more active in some areas which are important to the Palestinian settlements and so on and so forth. But I think it is more connected to the fact that after a year in which it is very quiet in Gaza, and now we see what happened in Jerusalem and in some places in the West Bank, in the territories, and some people in Gaza might think that it is their time to do something, but I think the reaction of the IDF, which bombed some very important capabilities of the Palestinians in Gaza to produce in the future weapon system, more sophisticated weapon systems, I think that the success in this reaction of the IDF led to a situation in which I believe that the quietness will be kept in the future as it was in the last year.
Okay. Maybe another issue.
By the way, even what had been done in the last few days or weeks is very, very minor. It's not something big. And I think the reaction of the IDF, which was very concentrated on in the facilities which the Palestinians in Gaza, Hamas, and Islamic Jihad used to produce their missiles and rockets, it was a very good reaction, which immediately make the organizations on the other side to understand that they are paying a very high price for nothing. No achievement from their point of view, and the price that they are paying is very high.
Okay. You are one of the signatories on a letter by former heads of the National Security Council in which you and others called the government to talk with the opposition about the legal reforms it is promoting. You claim that this might pose a danger to Israel's security. Why is that?
It is, I think, 12 out of 13 heads of the National Security Council signed this letter, calling the decision makers in both sides. We didn't say anything about the reform itself. We didn't say if it's good or bad or to be against it or for it. But we called the both sides to speak with each other instead of speaking one on each other. What we saw is very worrying because the leaders of both sides do not speak with each other. And instead of it, each side is blaming the other side for not being patriotic enough or whatever. We thought that it is a very bad situation. They should speak with each other. Don't make a mistake. All what happened in Israel, but few people who said some words that should not be said. The demonstrations are within the limits of the democracy, and the government initiative is within the rules of democracy and the red lines of a democratic process. What was important for us, and we didn't say that any of this side is not a democratic one, that they should speak between themselves to reach an agreement about the framework of the reform.
Yes, but can you explain what does this have to do with security?
Of course, but at the end, Israel is under pressure. We will have to face wars. We have the Iranian challenge in front of us. We don't have an agreement with the Palestinians, which are killing Jews almost every day. We have many challenges, and to come to deal with these challenges on the basis of huge disagreement about the tools that should be used within the democracy system, it's very bad. Under pressure, you need a society which is much more united, and very important to agree about the framework, the rules, and the tools, even if you know that you will not convince that you are right in the content itself. And here we understood that some people are arguing about the legitimacy of the tools, and that was very problematic from our point of view. This is why we called both sides to speak with each other.
Okay, maybe my last question is, what is your personal opinion, if you want to talk about it, about the necessity of this reform?
We decided within those who signed the letter that we will not publish our personal view about the reform. And I think that was the basis for our letter, because we probably do not agree between ourselves about the need for the reform. And the president of the state of Israel, Mr. Yitzhak Herzog, published his view about the rules or the most important element that should be taken part in reform. And based on what he said, it is probably understood by both sides the reform is needed, and the question is what kind of reform, or how far to go with the reform, and how far to change, and what should be kept as it is today. And this is the issue after the offer of the president is on the table. I think it is clear that reform will happen some way, and the differences are about the scope of the reform.
General Amidror, this is very clear. Thank you very much for your time and for joining us today.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support JBS with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double chai or more. Simply visit the JBS website at jbstv.org and click on the donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check to JBS, Post Office Box 360, Stamford, Connecticut 06904. Or you can call the JBS Pledge Line at 833-MY-JBS-TV. That's 833-695-2788. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive with our compliments. We thank you for your kind support.